A lot. They're gonna love you a lot.
Success! Pudding!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the man we've all been waiting for. And waiting for. That man is Marcus the Motivator.
G'day guys, it's Marcus the Motivator here. Today I am here with Luke, who does a bit of mental health work, and you are a musician and artist as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing Luke's story today about some of the experiences he has had, some of the work he has done, and I'm sure you guys out there are going to learn a lot about what he has to say. And I'm sure you are going to find some of the information and what he has to say interesting, and it's going to help you guys to become the success you want to be. Luke, let's start by having you tell us a bit about yourself.
No worries. Thanks for having me in, mate. I really
You're
appreciate it. So I'm a 28-year-old male. I've been around mental health since I was 13 years old. So that's sort of the start of the story for me in how I've come to this point in my life.
Yep.
My sister got diagnosed with major depressive disorder at 13. So I was just coming into high school, and that kind of hit me because I never really knew about it at that time. I never really heard about mental health.
Yep.
And that's where it kind of got into my life. And just generally myself now, when we fast forward to now, I'm a musician. I do hip hop. I do spoken word poetry.
Yep.
I also advocate strongly for mental health. I have certificates in mental health, so I'm a qualified mental health worker.
Yep.
And I'm just passionate about helping other people
Yep.
through their life.
So let's go back to where it all started for you. You
Sure.
said when you were 13,
Sure. Yeah.
you said your sister got diagnosed with mental health. Just in kind of brief summary, how was that challenge for you?
For me, that was so challenging because you've grown up with someone for your childhood, and mental health completely changes that person in an instance. So it was like I never knew my sister. Like I just met someone completely new, different, and I didn't really know how to get my head around it, and my family didn't either. And so there was a lot of internal things happening within family, and it was really tough on me and my family at that point. And yeah.
So growing up 13, how did that feel to you as you were growing up as a teenager? Is it one of those things that as you learnt more about it, did it get easier for you, or was it always a challenge? And what did you do to help with those challenges that you were facing to maybe help your sister, and also maybe help you kind of get through the challenges that not only your sister was facing, but you might have been facing as part of that?
Yeah, so the challenges straight away was seeing things that you didn't want to see, and that was with my sister and what she was going through and how she was dealing with it. And in high school's crazy. Like, you're going through puberty, everything's happening, and she had a tough time in school. And back then, mental health was hardly discussed. There wasn't anything in school. There wasn't resources available. So going through it with her, I went to some counseling sessions, and I just wanted to be there. And that's the thing. It brought us closer together. And my drive, even at that age, and I didn't know it yet, was always to be there and help people. And that was starting with my sister. And since then, that's just started my drive.
So that snowballed. So you said, like, fast forward to now, you also do a bit of music, a bit of hip hop, a bit of rap kind of music. How did that come about?
Look, I used to do freestyles in parties when I was like 16, 17, after like 5 UDL cans. And it was like, yeah, it was embarrassing. But I got a bit of a, people knew that I liked to rap and I love hip hop. My sister got me into hip hop actually when I was 13. She was way cooler than I was.
Yep.
So when I started rapping, that started about 22, 23. I got a few gigs.
Yep.
And I was on SoundCloud and producing music, had some friends that I was recording in the studio with.
Yep.
And I just dropped it for about 3 or 4 years, and a year to this day, so last year, that's when everything kicked off again. I got a gig, I took it, and since then I've just been going, and I've just been doing more shows, and yeah.
So what was the inspiration to get started for the music?
Music, expression. It was really just expressing my thoughts on paper and helping myself get through it, because I didn't really have many people to talk to about it. I felt like no one understood mental health, no one understood depression. So with the music I made, and most of my songs when I was younger are speaking on it. And it was sort of like my therapy. So that's, yeah.
So fast forward now, when you've been through all that and you look back all on those experiences, do you think that going through that journey, do you think you've come out of that a more successful, better person, having had that experience and looking on what you've done now?
100%. Everyone has a moment. There's more than one moment in life where you realize something. And for me, this was something that started at 13, but I never really knew about it. And then I was a tradesman for about 6-7 years, just building brick walls and it just wasn't me. That's not what I found was passionate. But I would help people all the time, or I'd, talk to people about things, what's going on with their lives. But yeah, this has changed my life. Right now, I've gone through the last 2 years of my life clinging on to life, basically. I didn't think I was going to make it through the last few years of my life. And at the moment, this is a point now where I'm happy. I know what I'm doing. I've got goals, and I'm going to achieve the goals.
So what's happened then with the last few years?
The last 2 years, when I had quite a bad period where I fell down, and that's when I got diagnosed with depression. And I wasn't dealing with it well. I had a toxic relationship, and I wasn't managing with that as well, and substance use. And I was close to losing my life a few times.
So how do you feel? So that's a pretty big thing to even admit and say, like, on camera, that you've done that. So firstly, you should be pretty proud of the fact that you can say you can admit that. So secondly, how do you feel now that you've clearly made changes in your life, that you've come out the other side of that you're clearly a much stronger person, and that you've had those experiences? How does it feel now, having come out the other side of that?
Man, it feels really good, because this is generally the first time where I've felt like there's purpose and there's movement and there's something that I'm doing now that has meaning. And when I was going through depression, I didn't feel anything. I literally didn't feel anything, and that's why I went out, and substance was a main thing for me. But getting past that to where I am now, where I can see things clearer. I'm just going straight for what I want to do now, my goals, and I'm achieving them.
So we're here now, sitting here. What are your goals going forward?
Okay, my goals right now, public speaking. So, I know what you're doing right now. It's awesome. Motivation. For me, it's this public speaking as a male with suicide, awareness, mental health, substance abuse. I want to be able to get into schools. I want to work with kids, because kids is where it starts now in youth. Right now, I'm going to study, hopefully get into a Bachelor of Social Work. I want to be a counsellor. I want to be a counsellor in schools. I want to do public speaking. And at the moment, more music I'm doing right now is in the community. So I'm trying to get into a few communities and a few councils. And
So how much? So you've started. You're getting into certain things. So you're pretty much at the beginning of the journey that you want to be. How are you finding it so far?
Oh man, it's weird. I honestly never thought. A year ago today, my actual Facebook music page had like 20 followers or something, and I'd never thought about it. And then today it's on 720, and that's not really big numbers to some people. And I mean, I don't know how many. You've got a lot of other people have thousands and hundreds, you know. And to me, that number is a lot because it just shows in this year. This is now I'm actually getting my feet on the ground, and I'm making steps. And it doesn't matter how big they are. Every step counts, and I'm making small steps, and they're becoming bigger steps. Yep.
So what's the plan for you for, say, the rest of this year? Like what's going on with you for the rest of this year with the work you're doing and the music and what you're trying to write or produce for the rest of this year?
Yeah.
To get the message out that you want to get out.
Yeah. Look, I've got a few events lined up next month.
Yep.
I'm really happy about a few radio spots too. And that's what I want to get onto the airwaves early morning for the tradesmen. That's one of the targets also I want to hit. So by the end of this year, I'm hopefully going to have a few more shows under my belt. Yep. And get my kind of claws into, not claws in, but like get my roots into a few people that I can collaborate with in the councils, and that can help me get a little bit closer to what I really want to achieve.
So how much is the music? How much do you think the music is going to play a part in ultimately what you want to do?
Definitely big, especially for the younger kids, the youth. Hip hop is massive. Under 21s, you know, hip hop's huge, and that's what I'm trying to get across with that. Is my music it's fun at times, but it's also addressing some serious issues. Yep. And the more hip hop artists that can do that, I feel like a lot of young kids look up to hip hop artists, so that could help.
Do you think the music, like, how long have you been producing the music for now?
About 4 or 5 years, but this year's been my most serious year, so it's been about a year.
So do you think like that music you've been producing and making, has that, with the experience you've had doing, has that changed over time? Has like the message and has it kind of evolved over time?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's gone from like an old school hip hop vibe, like 90s, to now where I'm actually experimenting with jazz. I'm singing now. Yep. Like I've been training for a couple years, and I'm kind of experimenting and moving it to another audience. Yep. So I'm trying to, and then my spoken word too, I've only recently just started doing that in a few gigs. Yep. And that also is a really good way to get your message across.
How are you finding doing those speaking gigs?
So the last one I did, I made 3 men cry. Yep. Grown men.
How did that make you feel?
I was shocked because I was like, are you sure you're just not drunk? And he's like, I've had a few beers, but no, he said, the message that I got across, he just completely got moved by it. And that made me feel like that's something that hit the right target for me.
And how much from when you're doing a speaking engagement, how much of that is just your personal story?
100%. The last spoken word I did was about my experiences with suicide and self-harm and really realistically how close it got. And it was titled "How You Gonna Act," and it's basically coming from it was an old war movie I watched, and then one guy was like, "How you gonna act when you get back home and you see people?" And that was the message for it.
How does that actually make you feel when like you're doing these speaking engagements and telling them your story, and you're bringing back moments where, as you said before, you were pretty close to doing some serious damage to yourself?
Yeah, it's not easy. I think like I choke up a bit. Yep. It does bring back a lot of memories, and it's hard because every time you say something, every time you bring these past memories back up, it hurts, and it sort of reminds you. But that's another thing if you're going to advocate for mental health, and if I'm going to get into the sector, and I need to understand to work with that, and those emotions are going to come back, and the best way I deal with it is to sit with it, to understand it's there, and then it eventually eases away. But the message that I'm delivering to other people is more important sometimes than how am I going to be.
How much of an effect have you found that you've actually had on people? I know you said you made 3 grown men cry. But what have been some of the other messages that people have come up and said to you after you've spoken?
Well, I do a lot of online videos
Yep.
on my Facebook page, and I had 2 girls message me from high school. I was 17, and just with that in my videos, how much it helped them, and they're in high school, kind of made me also realize how much it's needed in the school system, because I didn't have any support. And a few more gigs I've done, there've just been people coming up, and a lot of them are guys.
Yep.
And they'll just come up and they'll give me a hug and they'll just say, man, that was really good. And I mean, I understand it's hard to sometimes verbalize how they really feel,
Yep.
but that's enough for me just to know that it's working.
Do you think the perception of mental health, and because there's obviously a lot more awareness now than what there was when you were growing up back as a teenager, do you think that's helped? Do you think that's helped things?
Yeah, I think it's slowly helping now. I think that the more males that are speaking up, especially like figures in the society, like the community that are maybe people look up to, it's going to definitely help. I've noticed though, there is more talk about it in the last few years, and that's definitely, it's definitely really good. But I know when I first was going through depression 2 years ago, I couldn't find anything on YouTube. There was hardly any videos that men were expressing how they dealt with it.
Yep.
And that's also another reason why I started, because there's just not enough out there.
How big do you want to make this?
Look, man, I want to make this as big as I can in the next few years, where I can get a steady platform with people. And one of my goals is to actually set up a studio myself.
Yep.
Get kids in and make music with them and produce music and show that it's such a good therapeutic outlet.
Yep.
Than going down the bad road. And in the next few years, I hope I can do that. The more music I make, the more people I generate from those music videos or the gigs I do, that's where I'm going to start building my platform. So at the moment, I'm not going to stop. Next year, I'm hoping to do a lot more.
So do you have any like specific plans as to what's going to happen so far next year? Have you got like shows lined up, or are you writing more content at the moment that you're going to produce? Talk a bit more about like what's going to happen going forward next year.
Yeah, man, I'm writing a lot. I'm writing a lot now. I don't know how, because I never used to. It was like, you know, you have these weeks where you couldn't write anything, but I'm just writing nonstop. Like, I'll be in my car and it's like, shit, I got to write. And it's like, I'll pull over. Are you finding
it easier
now
to write more content?
I don't know.
Stuff?
Yeah, it's just like I had something over my eyes for so long and now it's like gone, and I'm just writing like pages. Like, I've got my school books, and when I go to school, obviously I'm learning, but like I write lyrics while I'm there, and I generally write like 3 pages of lyrics, and I'll be like, oh crap, I got to write some stuff about school, you know, like I just get sidetracked. But it's just this thing now where I'm writing so much, and I'm hopefully going to get a few early gigs next year at festivals. Like, I've been applying for like community festivals, and yeah, hopefully collaborating with a few people, so next year I can start doing a few more shows. And spoken word, something that I think is really cool in Melbourne. It's getting big, and I know a few people in that scene, and I'm just hoping I can get in there as well, because that's another one, option.
So obviously you're gonna go forward the music, go forward with the written stuff. What's the big goal? What's the big goal? Like, I know you want to obviously help as much as possible, but is there like a big end goal for you ultimately for this?
Yeah, man, like this is the dream, but this is a goal that I can achieve definitely, is I want to have my own practice counselor, like a counseling practice myself, and also have my own studio there, so I can obviously work with people with counseling, also have the studio there as well as like a therapeutic outlet. And then I was going to give on the weekends, I would give half a day, maybe 6 to 8 hours free. And I would see people that are unable to get the services they need. They might not have enough money, and work with those people and just do that for a day for nothing. Because I feel like there's so many people I see, like in the population that can't even get those resources and access it sometimes. So I would love to work 5 days a week and then one day just helping other people out in the community. And that's the end goal for me. And I mean, like, if when I get my bachelor, I'm going to be 32. So by 35 to 36, that's kind of where I'm going to, shift it.
Are you looking forward to the challenges that you may face ahead?
Yeah, man, definitely. Like, I've already met some challenges with trying to get into the sector, and it's funny with the stigma around mental health. I've also kind of
talk about some of those challenges you've already faced.
Look, man, I had a job interview a while ago, very prestigious organization, I won't name it, and I did very well in the interviews. I actually got hired, and 2 days later they called me and said, we're gonna have to take that back. We want you to come in for a second interview. And I was like, okay. So I went in and I had to meet up with some people, and they were concerned about my application because it said I had depression. And this job role was quite intense. I was working with young kids at risk. I knew what I was signing up for. I completely knew this is what I want to do. I stressed to them that I was like, I'm aware of how dangerous it could be, but this is what I want to do. And they ended up saying, yep, no worries, get you all clear from your GP, the doctor. And I got it, came in, gave it to them. They're like, we'll give you a call in a week. You've got the job. They never called for 2 weeks. I ended up phoning them, and they said they got someone else in the position. So, I mean, look, there's challenges that may not be that big to other people, but the fact that in the sector, I know I have depression on my resume. Yep. But that's not going to stop me from getting a job in the sector.
Do you think though, like, because you've been through depression, do you think that may actually, and you've come through the other side, do you think that may actually open up more different opportunities for you down the track?
Definitely. You need that experience. Like, lived experience is essential. Like, with peer support workers as well, you just need, if someone understands someone else's journey because they've been there too, that makes it a completely different ballgame. If someone's coming from an angle where they've had a really good upbringing and they just haven't experienced that, it's not easy to relate. So there's a lot more comfortable relationship in if you've had that lived experience.
How do you find dealing with, as you said, you got rejected for that job? How was that, knowing that it was because they thought that your mental health, they thought that was the question? Yeah, look, I actually, when we spoke on the phone, I was like, you know what, you're missing out on a really good worker. And I told her that just, good luck. I really hope you do well, but you've definitely missed out. I wasn't trying to be cocky. I was just saying, I know my worth. Yeah. I know what I'm about, and I know I can do good. And it hurt. It was quite upsetting, but at the same time, that just makes you want to go harder again and find somewhere else and keep going. And that's the thing. It's not going to stop me. I've come this far now where, if you come from the bottom and you're in shit and you come up to this point, you just don't stop. Yeah, you just don't stop. You keep going. Just keep going, man. So so let's get back to a bit of your music. How much do you actually enjoy doing the music stuff, and how big of a part of that? How big of a part of that? Is that?
It's big because I like sing every day. I rap every day. I write every day. I record pretty much like every second day. Yep. Even if it's just nothing that gets out, it's just music. I just love doing it. Yeah. It's big for me, and the feeling of playing shows and meeting other people and just expressing yourself, and it's just one of the best feelings you can have. That's a natural feeling.
How do those live shows feel for you when you're playing?
Awesome, man. Like, I'll have the worst anxiety before sometimes getting on. Like,
how is the feeling for you before you step out on stage and start performing?
I just hope people listen, man. But it's a weird feeling, but at the same time, it's like, this is it. Like, it's surreal because you're just like, I'm doing this. Yeah. Like, I never thought I would. And because you see people in the crowd, they're actually like listening to what you say. And it's crazy, man. It's such a good feeling. And you get off stage, and like, I remember like the first few shows, I couldn't sleep. Like,
yeah, the adrenaline kicking in.
It's the adrenaline, and it's just also like, I don't know, like, I love doing music, and then you just get off the stage and it's like, it's kind of like a bit of a blur because you're just like, what just happened? And then, the people come up to you, and it's not even about the like praise and the validation, man. It's just about you getting up there and you're just doing what you're doing and you're just showing people.
How does it feel when you get to like the end of a show and you know that people have been watching there and listening to you? How does that make you feel, knowing that they've been listening to what you've been performing and the message you're giving them? How does that end up making you feel?
Just, man, it makes me feel like thankful. Dude, it's like, if anyone listens, man, it's awesome. If people listen and people understand, and if people can like talk about experiences and like just hitting that one person, man, that's like, holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, even if they can't speak to you about it and they just heard it and it makes them, makes them feel differently. And that just makes me feel great, man. Like, music for me saved my life. I will say that.
Yep.
It's definitely kept me from, worse places. So it's definitely helped.
Well, there you go, guys. Luke here has found what he enjoys doing. He's found what motivates him. He's found what is going to make him the success, and it's found what drives him to become a better person every single day. Luke, thank you very much for your time.
No worries, man. Thanks a lot.
So Luke, if anyone's have any issues out there and they need to talk, what's the best way to go about it?
No worries, mate. Well, the best way, to be honest, like talking, any supports that you have in your life, I know it's really hard at the time, but even just saying a few things to them can really benefit. We've got Beyond Blue, we've got Headspace, we've got these sites. If you just go on the Google, there's 24-hour helplines, there's crisis lines where you can access on just going on to Google and finding those numbers, and they're 24/7 people can phone and you can talk to them, and they really do help.
And if we want to see your stuff,
if you want to get on to me, Fruity Lex. Obviously just Fruity space Lex. That's where you're gonna find me at. If you ever inbox me, I'm very quick at replying. I can respond back very quickly. So if anyone wants to find my page, it's Fruity Lex, and feel free to like, follow, and check out my videos. And if you want to inbox me, feel free.
All right, cool.
And just shout outs to anyone that's going through anything right now. Keep going, man. Don't stop. And shout outs to you, man, for this opportunity. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, mate.
And
Thank you for your time, mate.